Welcome back to the deep dive. We're here again to take a truly massive stack of filses this time. Really dig in and give you the essential knowledge.
Yeah, and today's mission is definitely unique. We're looking at a fascinating plant, but also this incredibly detailed set of instructions.
Right, it's kind of a hybrid source set. We've got a deep botanical profile of an Arctic berry, the cloudberry.
Rubus chamirus, yeah. And then following that, this exhaustive, almost encyclopedic collection of 23 different preserve recipes. Seriously, 23.
It calls itself the Cloudberry String Ensemble Preserve Collection. Sounds intense.
It is. So we're basically going from the wild bogs of the far north straight into some pretty complex culinary territory. Traditional preservation meets almost fine dining.
Okay, let's start at the beginning then. Unpack this berry. Rubus cremeris. You said it's in the rose family of Rosaceae.
That's right. It's a herbaceous perennial.
Yeah.
And what that means is it dies back each winter but regrows from the roots. It produces this lovely amber-colored edible fruit.
Looks a bit like a raspberry or blackberry, right? That aggregate fruit structure.
Structurally, yes, very similar. But, and this is crucial, right off the bat, there's a huge botanical difference from most other rubus species.
Oh, yeah. What's that?
Well, unlike your typical raspberry or blackberry, the cloudberry is dioecious.
Dioecious. Okay, that sounds important. What does that actually mean in practice?
It means the plant has separate sexes. You have male plants and you have female plants. Both are needed for pollination to happen and for the female plants to actually produce fruit.
So you can't just plant one bush and hope for berries.
Nope. You need a male nearby to pollinate the female flowers. It's a mechanism really to ensure genetic diversity, but it makes cultivation much more complicated than for other berries.
Right, I can see that. And its identity seems complicated too. Lots of different names.
Oh, absolutely. Globally, people might just call it the Nordic berry. But regionally, it reflects its importance to local cultures.
Like in Newfoundland and Labrador, they call it bake apple.
Exactly, which is a lovely, evocative name. If you're hiking the moors in England, you might hear it called knotberry or knotberry. Older names.
And further north, indigenous names come into play. Alaska, a peak.
Uppick, or sometimes lowbush salmonberry. But, and the sources are really clear on this, we need to pause here.
Why is that?
Because it's not the same as the true salmonberry, Rubus acceptabilis. That's a different species entirely, found more along the Pacific coast. Easy mistake to make, but botanically distinct.
Got it. Low bush salmonberry, but not the salmonberry. Important distinction.
Definitely. Back in Europe, over in Scotland, you might hear Averin or Evron. And in parts of Quebec, especially among English speakers, the name Chicoutay is common.
Chicoutay. Where does that come from?
It's borrowed from the Inuit language, reflecting the indigenous history in that region. So yeah, this whole list of names tells you it's widespread, but also deeply rooted in specific places. No single culture owns it.
Okay, let's picture the plant itself. Morphology. How does it look? It grows in harsh places.
It does, and it's adapted. It grows low to the ground, only about 10 to 25 centimeters high, maybe 10 inches at most.
That low profile helps with wind, I imagine.
For sure. Keeps it sheltered.
Got it.
The stalks are straight, no branches, and the leaves are distinctive. They alternate up the stalk, and each leaf has 5 to 7 soft, sort of hand-shaped lobes. Quite delicate looking, actually.
Delicate looking, but tough. What about the flowers and fruit?
Right, so after pollination happens, remember, male to female, the white flowers appear. Sometimes they have a little reddish blush on the tips.
Pretty.
Yeah. And these develop into the fruit. It's an aggregate fruit, like we said, about the size of a raspberry. Inside, it's made up of typically somewhere between 5 and 25 little drupelets.
Drupelets. Okay, like the little individual bumps on a raspberry.
Exactly. Each one containing a tiny seed.
And the color, that famous amber.
That's the sign of ripeness. It starts out pale red, almost pinkish, but it's not truly ready until it ripens into that characteristic amber, almost translucent color. Usually happens in early autumn.
Interesting. And the source mentioned something about where they grow best, not always in full sun.
Yeah, that was a bit counterintuitive, wasn't it? It says fruits are often more plentiful in habitats that offer some protection, like partial woodlands, rather than being fully exposed out on the open moor or tundra. Maybe less stress, better moisture retention.
Could be. It's a plant full of surprises. Let's dive into that distribution and ecology it gets around.
It really does. It's a circumpolar boreal plant, meaning it naturally grows in a huge band around the northern parts of the world.
How far north and south does that band stretch?
We're talking from about 78 degrees north latitude, way up there, down to about 55 degrees north. And then it gets patchier further south, down to maybe 44 north, but mostly only in specific habitats like high mountains or protected moorlands.
Okay, break down that geography for us. Where exactly would we find it?
Well, in Europe, it's all over the Nordic countries: Norway, Sweden, Finland. It's much rarer in the Baltic states like Latvia, Lithuania, Estonia, and Poland.
What about the UK and Ireland?
It hangs on. You can find it in the Pennine Mountains in England, the Scottish Highlands. And there's this one incredibly fragile protected site in the Sperrin Mountains in Northern Ireland. Just one.
Wow. So it's really clinging on in some places.
Definitely. Then heading east, its range goes right across northern Russia, all the way to Hokkaido, the northern island of Japan.
In North America.
Just as vast.
Yeah.
Greenland, huge swaths of northern Canada, Alaska, obviously. Then it dips down into the U.S.
Where in the U.S.? I wouldn't picture cloudberries growing here.
Mostly northern states in specific environments: northern Minnesota, New Hampshire, Maine, and even parts of New York. Usually in high-altitude bogs or preserved peatlands where the conditions are just right.
How does it spread so effectively across these vast, often harsh landscapes?
Two main ways. First, long-distance travel. Birds and mammals eat the berries. The seeds are tough, indigestible.
Ah, so they get deposited elsewhere.
Exactly, standard seed dispersal method. But the second way is how it forms those big patches you see. That's down to its rhizomes.
Rhizomes, but those are underground stems, right?
Right. And cloudberry rhizomes are extensive. They grow horizontally, maybe 10, 15 centimeters, 4 to 6 inches below the surface. And they can spread out, forming this dense network.
How far can they spread?
The source says up to 10 meters long. So a single plant can eventually colonize a large area, creating a dense mat. And these patches are essentially clones of the original plant. It's a very effective way to dominate its niche.
Amazing adaptation. But despite being tough, it's picky about where it grows. You mentioned cultivation challenges. What does it need?
The absolute number one requirement is acidic ground, highly acidic. The pH needs to be between 3.5 and 5.0. That's quite low.
So lemon juice territory, almost.
Getting there, yeah. Think bogs, marshes, wet meadows, tundra environments. That's its happy place. And it can handle altitude. In Norway, they found it growing up to 1,400 meters. That's over 4,500 feet.
Before we get into the chemistry, what about its role in the ecosystem? Conservation status, you said least concern globally.
Globally, yes, according to the IUCN Red List Standard 3.1. But that broad label hides some really critical local vulnerabilities.
How so?
Ecologically, it's vital for some species. For instance, its leaves are the only known food source for the caterpillars of a specific moth, Coleophora thulia.
The only food. So if the cloudberries disappear from an area.
The moth disappears too. It's completely dependent. And locally, the plant is endangered in some places. Germany is a key example in the Weser and Elbe valleys.
Why there?
Because its habitat, the peatlands, are constantly being drained for agriculture or development. So while it's widespread overall, these specific populations are highly threatened and legally protected there.
That really highlights the connection between the plant, its specific habitat, and human impact. Okay, let's shift gears. Section 2, chemistry, cultivation, and governance, connecting the tough environment to what's actually in the berry.
Right, and this harsh habitat seems to have forged a berry with an intense nutritional profile. It's basically a chemical powerhouse designed for survival.
Starting with vitamins.
Vitamin C is the headline act. Cloudberries are packed with it. Historically, this wasn't just nice, it was vital. For Nordic seafarers on long voyages, for indigenous communities trying to survive long, dark winters, it was a key defense against scurvy.
A literal lifesaver.
What else? They're also rich in provitamin A, carotenoids, specifically beta-carotene. Good for vision, immune function. And then you get into the acids.
Like citric acid, malic acid.
Yeah.
The stuff that makes them tart.
Those two, yes, they give it that initial sharp taste. But the real star, chemically speaking, is probably ellagic acid.
Ellagic acid. What's special about that?
It's a flavonoid compound, a powerful antioxidant. But what's fascinating in cloudberries is that it also acts as a natural preservative. It helps stabilize the fruit's structure and flavor, slows down spoilage. The berry basically comes with its own built-in preservative system.
That makes so much sense for why they preserve so well traditionally, like in their own juice.
Exactly. And there's more. Alpha-tocopherol, which is a form of vitamin E, anthocyanins, those are the pigments that give berries their color, also potent antioxidants. And then specific types of ellagitannins, like lambertinin C and sanguine H6.
Wow. Quite the cocktail. These sound like high-level compounds.
They are. They contribute to the intense flavor, the health benefits, and likely the berry's resilience.
And interestingly, the source says this chemical makeup isn't even consistent everywhere.
No, it varies quite a bit. Research in Finland, for example, showed that the levels of things like elagitannins, sanguine H6, anthocyanins, even another antioxidant called quercetin, they differ depending on the region.
What causes the difference?
Environmental factors seem key. How much sun the plants get, rainfall patterns, average temperature, but also the specific genetic makeup, the genotype of the plant, plays a role in its polyphenol composition. It's constantly fine-tuning its chemistry.
That concentration of vitamin C and all those polyphenols, especially the ellagic acid, that brings us to Section 2, Part B, Cultivation and Commercialization. Huge demand, especially in Scandinavia, but it's still mostly wild.
Overwhelmingly wild. It's the very definition of a wild harvested delicacy. And relying on the wild harvest makes the market incredibly volatile.
How so?
The wholesale price swings wildly depending on how good the harvest is that year. If it's a bumper crop, the price might drop, maybe around €10 per kilogram, which was cited for 2004. But if the harvest is poor due to bad weather or other factors, the price skyrockets, makes it risky for businesses relying on a steady supply.
That volatility must be why there's research into cultivating it.
Absolutely. Since the mid-1990s, there's been this multinational research effort focused on trying to domesticate the cloudberry, make it a reliable crop.
Have they had any success? Can farmers actually buy cloudberry plants now?
They can. Since 2002, specific cultivars have become available. But remember the dioecious problem, needing male and female plants.
Right. How did they solve that for farmers?
They developed separate male and female cultivars. The main male pollinator variety is called Apolto, and the key female fruit-producing varieties are Fulgul and Fortgul.
So a farmer has to buy, plant, and manage two different types of plants just to get one harvest. That still sounds like a hassle.
It is a significant barrier, which is why the development of the Finnish Naibi variety was such a big deal.
What's special about Naibi?
Naibi is monoecious,
Monoecious
meaning it has both male and female flowers on the same plant. It can self-pollinate. You don't need separate male plants nearby.
That simplifies things massively.
Hugely. It makes cultivation much more feasible, especially in those really tough Arctic areas like the northern coast of Norway, where very few other fruit crops can even survive. It opens up possibilities.
From wild delicacy to potential cash crop for extreme climates, that naturally leads us to the rules around harvesting at Section 2, Part C, Governance. You mentioned a common use policy in Norway and other places.
Yeah, it's based on traditional rates, often called allemannsretten or similar concepts. It basically allows anyone, whether you're a local or just visiting, to pick cloudberries on public land.
So I can just wander into a bog and start picking.
You can pick them, and crucially, you can eat them right there, on the spot. Snack away.
But there's a catch, isn't there? Something about taking them home.
There is, and it causes a lot of confusion, especially in Norway. The key restriction there is about transport. While anyone can pick and eat, only local residents are legally allowed to transport the berries away from the place they were picked.
So as a tourist, I can eat my fill, but I can't fill up a bucket and take it back to my hotel or out of the area.
Exactly that, in Norway specifically. Many other countries do allow transport of ripe berries, but this Norwegian rule is unique and designed to protect the resource for locals while still allowing enjoyment on site.
And this connects to that other point of confusion, harvesting unripe berries.
Ah, yes, the persistent myth about multicart, the unripe green or red cloudberries. This is a fascinating bit of legal history.
What's the story?
For over 30 years, from 1970 all the way up to 2004, it actually was illegal to harvest unripe cloudberries in Norway.
Why? Was it damaging the plants?
It was primarily a conservation measure. The fear was that people would strip the bogs bare before the berries even had a chance to ripen properly, potentially harming future harvests and the plants themselves.
So it's illegal for 34 years, and then...
And then, in 2004, the law was repealed. It is no longer illegal to pick unripe cloudberries in Norway.
But people still think it is.
Widely, yes. The sources emphasize this point. The cultural memory of the ban is really strong. So the key thing for anyone listening to understand today is the law against picking unripe berries is gone. It's history.
But the transport rule for non-locals still applies in Norway.
Correct. The transport restriction for non-residents is still very much in effect. Conservation focus shifted maybe, but the transport rule remains.
Fascinating. A law that lives on in memory, even after it's off the books. Okay, let's move into the really delicious part, Section 3. Cloudberry culinary and cultural applications. We know it's packed with vitamin C and acids. How does it actually taste?
It's got a really distinct profile. When it's perfectly ripe, that amber stage, the dominant flavor is tart. A bright, intense tartness. That's the vitamin C and the malic acid punching through.
But you can eat them overripe too.
Yes, and often that's preferred, especially for making certain preserves. When it gets overripe, the texture completely changes. It becomes incredibly creamy, almost like yogurt, and the flavor sweetens up considerably.
Tart when ripe, creamy and sweet when overripe. That explains its versatility.
Totally. It can play different roles depending on when you pick it and how you prepare it.
Which leads us into those traditional national dishes. Let's start in Finland. How do they typically eat cloudberries?
The classic Finnish way is with leipähusto. It translates as bread cheese. It's a mild, fresh cheese, often served slightly warmed or even squeaky.
Squeaky cheese.
Yeah, it sometimes has that texture. It's served with cream, a sprinkle of sugar, and then the cloudberries, usually as a jam or compote. It's a classic combination. And of course, cloudberries are essential for the famous Finnish liqueur, lakalikurri.
Okay. Over to Sweden, they call it hutron there, right? Or snaptrin.
Shortron is the main name, yes. Snatrin is more of a northern regional name. Swedish uses lean heavily towards sweets and dairy. Cloudberry jam is everywhere, a standard topping for pancakes, waffles, ice cream.
Sounds good.
And it's so common you can find cloudberry-flavored filmjölk that's a traditional soured milk product, like a thin yogurt right in the supermarket. It's really integrated into daily life.
And Norway, their signature dish uses multe.
The quintessential Norwegian cloudberry treat is multekrem, cloudberry cream. It's simple but luxurious, just cloudberries, often lightly mashed, folded into whipped cream with a bit of sugar.
Oh, that sounds dangerous.
It is. Very popular dessert, especially around Christmas. Like in Sweden, they also use it for jam, homemade ice cream, and you can buy malt or multi-hurt.
Okay, let's cross the Atlantic. Newfoundland and Labrador, where it's the bake apple. They seem to use it in everything.
They really do. The traditional baked apple pie is famous. Jams, jellies, fruit wines are common. It's used as a topping for cheesecake, ice cream, much like in Scandinavia.
But also newer things.
Yeah, the sources mentioned its growing popularity in craft products, flavoring for local beers, herbal teas, cocktails, even kombucha. It's bridging traditional uses with modern food trends there.
What about the most traditional indigenous use? The Arctic Yupik akutak.
Right, akutak, often called Eskimo ice cream, although that term is falling out of favor.
Right.
This is real survival food, adapted to the Arctic environment.
How is it made?
The base is high energy fat. Traditionally, this would be seal oil or maybe rendered reindeer or caribou fat, which is diced and then whipped with the seal oil until it's fluffy. Then the cloudberries are mixed in along with sugar if available.
Wow, sounds intense.
It provided essential fats and the vital vitamin C from the berries in a diet that was otherwise very high in protein. There are regional variations, too, along the Yukon and Kuskokwim rivers. They might use whitefish like pike or even vegetable shortening mixed with sugar and berries. Shows incredible resourcefulness.
Truly does. Let's quickly touch on the purely alcoholic uses. That intense flavor must work well in spirits.
Absolutely. The most famous is probably the Finnish lakalikurri, which we mentioned. It's known for strong flavor and being quite sweet.
What else?
Sweden makes some cloudberry-flavored gin, though often in limited batches. And it's a recognized flavoring agent for akvavit, that classic Scandinavian spirit.
Canada has its versions too.
Yep. In northeastern Quebec, there's Chicoutay liqueur, using the local name. And back in Newfoundland and Labrador, they make bake apple fruit wine, various bitters for cocktails, and as we said, brew it into beer.
Okay, before the marathon recipe section, let's just cement its cultural importance. It's literally on money.
It is. The Finnish €2 coin features a cloudberry flower and fruit, a real symbol of national identity there.
And in the landscape.
In Scotland, there is a hill named Bainan Oireg. In Scottish Gaelic, that means Hill of the Cloudberries. Its presence is literally written onto the map.
And that nickname in northern Sweden.
Norland's gold perfectly captures its value and color in that region, a treasured resource.
Even the English name Cloudberry has a cool story.
It really does. Comes from Old Lancashire dialect, apparently, linked to Pendle Hill in England. An old text from 1637 described the plant looking like it came out of the clouds that often shrouded the hill. So Cloudsberry became Cloudberry, a bit poetic.
Love that. Okay, deep breath. We've covered the botany, the chemistry, the law, the culture. Listeners, you are now primed. We are entering Section 4, the Cloudberry String Ensemble Preserve Collection.
This is where the source material basically becomes an advanced culinary class. 23 distinct recipes, each one linked to a string instrument detailing everything. Ingredients, calories, the specific technique, the virtuoso technique as they call it, serving suggestions, and key nutritional notes.
We're going through every single one in detail. This is the instructional course, so grab a notepad, maybe a cup of tea. Let's begin the performance. First up, upper strings in high fidelity. Violin, viola, cello, mandolin, harp. Think bright, clear, complex sounds.
Exactly. We start with the highest voice, the violin, soprano brilliance. This corresponds to recipe 1, cloudberry cardamom achar.
Achar, that's an Indian pickle, right?
Interesting.
Infusion already. Ingredients.
3 cups of whole cloudberries, a quarter cup of grapeseed oil chosen for its neutral flavor, 3 tablespoons of black mustard seeds, 3 green cardamom pods, 3 tablespoons of birch syrup for that Nordic sweetness, and 1 tablespoon of juniper berries for forest notes. Clocks in at 155 calories per serving.
Okay, the virtuoso technique here is called sharp attack. What does that mean?
Think of the violin bow hitting the strings decisively. You heat the grapeseed oil until it shimmers, then add the mustard seeds. You must let them crackle and plop. That's the sharp attack. It releases their pungency.
And the other flavors.
The green cardamom adds those aromatic high notes sort of floating above. Juniper brings in the complexity, that hint of pine forest. The berries themselves should hold their shape, providing structure. Nutritionally, it's high in vitamin C, 106% of your daily value, and makes good use of that natural ellagic acid.
How should you serve this violin achar?
The suggestion is with smoked salmon, the achar's acidity cuts through the richness beautifully. Or pair it with aged Gouda cheese for a really interesting contrast. Okay, moving down slightly and registered to the viola alto warmth. This is recipe 2, cloudberry honey chutney.
Chutney. More familiar, what goes into this warmer sound?
2.5 cups of cloudberries, 6 shallots, and crucially, these need to be slow caramelized, half a cup of golden raisins, a third of a cup of mead vinegar, nice historical touch, 3 tablespoons of wildflower honey, 2 tablespoons of crystallized ginger, 2 tablespoons of aquavit for Scandinavian flair, and then classic warming spices, allspice, cinnamon, cloves. Comes in at 165 calories.
The technique is alto section method. What's the key here? Patience with the shallots.
Absolutely. You caramelize those shallots really slowly, letting them develop that deep, rich, golden brown color. The source likens it to aged viola varnish. That builds the sweet foundation.
And the other elements.
The crystallized ginger provides these little bursts of spicy punctuation. Think of pizzicato on the viola strings. The aquavit adds that authentic Nordic herbal note. Nutritionally, this one's highlighted for being high in fiber, 29% DD, and containing quercetin, that beneficial antioxidant flavonoid.
How to serve this viola chutney?
It's designed to bridge rustic and refined flavors. Spread it thickly on dark rye bread, maybe with some sharp cheese, or serve it alongside roasted pork or game. Next, we get that deep singing voice, the cello, lyrical voice. This is recipe 3, cloudberry rose hip compote.
Rose hips. Makes sense for a cello's richness. What else?
3 cups of cloudberries, half a cup of dried rose hips, which you'd rehydrate first, a quarter cup of raw honey, lemon juice and zest for brightness, 2 tablespoons of rose water, 2 teaspoons of vanilla bean paste, and hints of ginger and cardamom. This one's lighter, 135 calories.
The technique is lyrical bow technique. Sounds elegant.
It's all about gentle handling. You cook the ingredients just enough to let their individual characters emerge and meld, but without breaking them down too much. The rose hips bring not just flavor, but also that huge vitamin C boost and floral complexity.
And the rose water.
Use it with restraint, like controlling vibrato on the cello too much overwhelms. It should be a subtle floral whisper. Nutritionally, this compote is an absolute superstar. A massive 200% of your daily vitamin C, thanks largely to those rose hips, and it's noted as very high in bioflavonoids.
Where would this cello compote shine?
Think intimate settings. Serve it over a smooth vanilla panna cotta, or use it as a luscious filling for delicate pastries or crepes.
Okay, we're skipping recipe 4 for now. We'll come back to the double bass. Moving on to recipe 5. Cloudberry almond conserve, representing the mandolin. Tremolo sparkle.
Conserved usually means fruit cooked with nuts or dried fruit. What's in this sparkly version?
2 cups of cloudberries, 3/4 of a cup of blanched almonds, a third of a cup of turbinado sugar for that slightly molassesy depth, 3 tablespoons of amaretto liqueur, orange juice and zest, and spices. Cinnamon, nutmeg, cardamom, 175 calories per serving.
The technique is tremolo technique. I'm guessing texture is key, like the rapid picking on a mandolin.
Exactly. You need to toast the almonds first until they're golden brown. This brings out their nutty flavor and ensures they provide a textural contrast, a crunch against the soft berries.
And the amaretto.
Adds that Italian almond-flavored authenticity. The cooking process needs to be managed so the almonds retain some of their bite. You want them to go soft. Nutritionally, this can serve as high in vitamin E, 47% DV, thanks to the almonds, and provides a decent 5 grams of protein per serving.
Serving suggestions for the mandolin conserve.
It pairs surprisingly well with aged Parmesan cheese. That sweet, nutty, salty thing really works. Or, more conventionally, spread it on almond croissants for a bit of Mediterranean escapism.
Our final upper string, recipe 6. Cloudberry cream curd. This is the harp, celestial glissando. Sounds heavenly.
It aims to be. It uses 1½ cups of cloudberry puree, very smooth, 6 ounces of mascarpone cheese, 4 large egg yolks, 1/3 cup of superfine sugar, 3 tablespoons of heavy cream, 2 tablespoons of elderflower liqueur, like Saint Germain, lemon juice, a hint of ginger, and optionally edible gold leaf for that celestial touch. It's richer, 195 calories.
The technique is glissando process. What does that involve? Sounds smooth.
Extreme smoothness. You need to pass the cloudberry puree through the finest possible sieve, or mash up. The goal is a texture smoother than harp strings. Whisk the mascarpone until it's light and fluffy. Then the critical part, cooking the curd. Double boiler, gentle heat.
Absolutely. Gentle heat, constant stirring. A really delicate touch is needed to prevent scrambling the eggs and ensure a perfectly smooth, set curd. It's noted as being high in saturated fat, 50% DV, due to the cream and mascarpone, but also high in riboflavin, vitamin B2, important for energy metabolism. How to serve this harp curd?
Fill delicate pre-baked tart shells for an elegant dessert, or simply serve a dollop in a small glass, maybe with a few fresh berries alongside. Pure luxury.
Right, that completes the upper strings. Now we shift to the foundation, folk, and ferments section. Deeper tones, more rustic, traditional sounds, double bass, guitar, fiddle, banjo, lute, cantele.
And we start by rewinding to recipe 4, Cloudberry butter confit, the double bands foundation. This is our anchor.
Confit usually means slow cooked in fat. What's the foundation here?
2 cups of cloudberries, 3/4 cup of clarified butter, ghee, 6 sprigs of fresh rosemary, 4 cloves of garlic lightly crushed, 3 bay leaves, some strips of lemon peel, black peppercorns, and a few juniper and allspice berries. This is the most calorie-dense, 285 calories per serving.
The technique, pizzicato foundation, requires precision.
Precision and patience. Heat the clarified butter to exactly 160 degrees F, that's about 71 degrees C. This low temperature is crucial. Then add the aromatics, rosemary, garlic, bay leaves, peel, spices. Let them infuse into the butter very slowly over 3 to 4 hours.
And the berries.
They get added partway through, cooking gently in the infused butter until they become sort of translucent, like little jewels suspended in the golden fat. It's about building that deep, resonant, foundational flavor. Nutritionally, this is the anchor, as you said. Highest in fat, saturated fat, sodium, vitamin A, and vitamin E across the whole collection.
How do you even serve cloudberry confit?
The suggestion is generously spooned over thick slices of grilled rustic bread, letting the flavored butter soak in. Or pair it with sharp acidic cheeses like a strong cheddar or pecorino, where the acidity cuts through the richness.
Okay, moving to a friendlier sound. Recipe 7. Cloudberry maple dolce. The guitar, folk warmth. Dulce as in dulce de leche.
Kinda, yeah. A rich caramel sauce, 2½ cups of cloudberry puree, 3/4 cup of pure maple syrup grade B, or dark robust preferably, 1/2 cup of heavy cream, 3 tablespoons of bourbon, 2 tablespoons of butter, a vanilla bean, split and scraped, cinnamon, sea salt, and nutmeg, 225 calories.
The technique is finger-picking method, smooth and flowing.
Right. First, cook the maple syrup gently until it starts to caramelize slightly, developing those deeper notes. Then gradually whisk in the cloudberry puree, stirring constantly to keep it smooth. Add the cream, butter, bourbon, vanilla, and spices off the heat, stirring until silky.
It sounds like pure comfort.
It is. High in sugar, obviously, but the nutritional note highlights manganese, 35% DV, which is important for bone health and metabolism. Maple syrup is a good source.
Serving suggestions.
Drizzle it generously over vanilla bean ice cream. Or use it as a warm sauce for bread pudding or sticky toffee pudding. Real comfort food territory.
Now for something completely different. Recipe 8. Cloudberry dill ferment. The Hardanger fiddle. Norwegian soul. Fermented cloudberries.
Yes. Yeah. Capturing that Norwegian spirit. 3 cups of cloudberries. 2 tablespoons of fresh dill, chopped. 3 tablespoons of sea salt, note, that's quite a lot. 2 tablespoons of honey. 1 tablespoon of caraway seeds, 4 cups of filtered water, a couple of bay leaves, some white peppercorns, and juniper berries. Lower calorie 105.
Technique. Folk tradition process. Sounds like lacto-fermentation.
Exactly. You lightly crush the berries first, just to release some juice in their essence. Then you make a brine with the filtered water, sea salt, and honey. Pack the berries, dill, caraway, and other spices into a jar, cover with the brine, making sure everything stays submerged, and let it ferment.
Yeah, seal it with an airlock or burp it regularly and let it ferment at room temperature for several days, maybe a week or two, until it develops that tangy, fermented flavor. The dill and caraway are key for that authentic Nordic taste. Nutritional profile must be interesting.
Jerry, the source calls it controversial. It's extremely high in sodium, 117% DV, because of the brine. But on the plus side, it's very high in beneficial probiotics from the fermentation process.
How would you eat fermented cloudberries?
As a traditional Nordic condiment, serve it alongside smoked fish, cured meats, or strong cheeses. Or just take a small spoonful as a potent probiotic shot. Definitely an acquired taste for some.
Moving across the pond now. Recipe 9. Cloudberry lingonberry leather, the banjo, American spirit, fruit leather.
Yep, blending Scandinavian berries with an American tradition. 2 cups of cloudberry puree and 2 cups of lingonberry puree. 2 tablespoons of maple syrup. Lime juice and zest. Ground ginger and allspice. Very low calorie, just 85.
Lingonberries add extra tartness, I bet. The technique is clawhammer technique. Needs concentration.
It needs concentration of flavor. You combine the purees, maple syrup, lime, and spices. Then you cook this mixture down gently, reducing it until it's quite thick, concentrating the flavors, and then dehydrate it.
Spread it thinly and evenly onto dehydrator sheets or parchment-lined baking trays. Dehydrate at a low temperature, around 135 degrees F, 57 degrees C. For a long time, the source suggests 20 to 24 hours until it's dry but still pliable and peels away cleanly. The lingonberries don't just add tartness, they also bring their own nutrients. What's the nutritional standout here?
A huge hit of vitamin C, again 161% DV, also noted as high in proanthocyanidins, another type of antioxidant common in cranberries and lingonberries, and containing natural benzoic acid, which acts as a preservative.
Perfect trail food, then.
Exactly. Roll it up. Pack it away. Bridges Scandinavian foraging with Appalachian trail food tradition.
Back to Europe for recipe 10. Cloudberry herb butter, the lute, Renaissance elegance, flavored butter.
A compound butter, yeah. 3 cups of cloudberries, but these are gently roasted first. 6 tablespoons of good quality European-style butter, higher fat content, softened. 3 tablespoons of finely chopped mixed fresh herbs, chervil, parsley, chives are suggested. 2 tablespoons of walnut oil, a splash of vinegar, maybe cider or white wine, minced shallots, white pepper, and a pinch of mace, 185 calories.
Technique, Renaissance refinement. Roasting the berries first is interesting.
Yeah, roasting them at about 375 degrees air, 190 degrees C for a short time concentrates their flavor and instantly dries them out. Then you gently brown the butter, not fully brown, just until it smells nutty. Mash the roasted berries into the softened, slightly browned butter. Then stir in the herbs, walnut oil, shallots, vinegar, and seasonings. Chill to firm up.
Why walnut oil?
Adds another layer of nutty flavor and richness. The nutritional note highlights vitamin K, 21% DV, mostly from the herbs and butter, and points out the healthy fats from the walnut oil.
How to use this elegant lute butter?
Spread it on some really good artisanal bread or crackers, or use it as a finishing butter for roasted game birds like quail or pheasant, or even chicken or fish, at the touch of class.
And the final one in this folk section, recipe 11, cloudberry oat paste, the Contelli Finnish heritage. Oat paste, like a spread.
It's sort of like a thick textured spread or perhaps a base for something else. 3 cups of cloudberries, 1 cup of steel-cut oats, importantly toasted first, 2 tablespoons of birch syrup, 2 tablespoons of buttermilk, honey to taste, and those classic Finnish flavors. Dill, caraway, cardamom, ginger, 145 calories.
Technique, pluck string method. What's the key? The oats.
Yes, the handling of the oats is crucial. First, toast the raw steel-cut oats in a dry pan until they're fragrant and lightly colored. This develops a nutty flavor. Then, grind them coarsely. You want texture, not flour. Then combine everything. Combine the toasted ground oats with the cloudberries, birch syrup for that authentic Finnish sweetness, buttermilk for tang, honey, and spices. Mix it well. It sounds like it would be quite thick and textured.
Interesting. Nutritional notes.
Very high in manganese, 52% DV, largely from the oats. And it contains beta-glucan, the soluble fiber found in oats known for its heart health benefits. It really honors ancestral Finnish food wisdom.
How would you serve this Cantelli paste?
Spread it on dark rye crisp bread, like Finnish hapankorpo, or serve it as an accompaniment to smoked or cured fish like gravlax.
Okay, that concludes the foundation and folk section. 12 recipes down, 11 to go. We now enter the final, most experimental and globally diverse section. Global fusion and experimental strings.
This is where the Cloudberry really travels. We've got instruments and flavors from all over the map. Erhu, glass harmonica, sarod, piano, sitar and bouzouki, oud, sitar, dulcimer, psaltery, auto harp, and even the theremin.
Let's start with recipe 12, Cloudberry Juniper Gastrique, representing the Erhu, Eastern Mystique. A gastrique is French, but the Erhu is Chinese. Fusion, indeed.
Exactly. A gastrique is that classic sweet and sour sauce made by caramelizing sugar and deglazing with vinegar. This version uses 2 cups of reduced cloudberry juice as the base, a quarter cup each of rice vinegar and mirin, Japanese sweet rice wine, honey for sweetness, 2 tablespoons of sake, 1 tablespoon of crushed juniper berries, back to Nordic, grated ginger, 1 teaspoon of Sichuan peppercorns, and a star anise pod, 125 calories.
Technique. 2-string technique. Balancing act.
A precise balancing act. First, reduce the cloudberry juice until it's thick and syrupy. Then, you carefully balance the sweet, honey, mirin, and sour rice vinegar elements. The key fusion comes from combining the Nordic forest note of juniper with the unique numbing heat, mala, of Sichuan peppercorns and the warmth of star anise and ginger.
Intriguing flavor profile. Nutritional notes.
Highlighted for containing terpenes, aromatic compounds from juniper, ginger, etc., and being high in antioxidants overall.
How to use this Erhu gastrique.
Drizzle it over pan-seared duck breast, a classic pairing for gastrique. Or use it as a finishing glaze or sauce for stir-fried vegetables, a real meeting of East and North.
Next, something completely different in texture. Recipe 13, Cloudberry Agar Gel, the glass harmonica, crystalline resonance, a set gel.
Yes, using agar-agar, a seaweed-based gelling agent. 3 cups of crystal clear cloudberry juice clarity is key here. 4 tablespoons of agar powder. This seems like a lot, suggesting a firm gel. Honey for sweetness. 2 tablespoons of elderflower cordial, lemon juice. Ground cardamom and ginger. Very light, 95 calories.
Technique. Harmonic series method. Sounds scientific.
It requires precision. First, you must extract perfectly clear juice from the cloudberries, probably by gentle pressing and straining through fine cloth. Any particles will mar the crystalline effect. Then, dissolve the agar powder completely and exactly in the juice, usually by heating gently. Add the flavorings. Elderflower enhances the delicate notes. Pour into a mold or dish and let it set.
Creates a unique texture, like the sound of a glass harmonica.
Exactly. Firm, clear, almost jewel-like. The nutritional note mentions the unique texture and a trace amount of iodine from the agar seaweed.
How would you serve this?
As an elegant palate cleanser between courses in a tasting menu, or cut into precise shapes and served as individual portions, perhaps garnished with a tiny mint leaf. It's culinary art through science.
Now we travel to India with recipe 14, Cloudberry Cardamom Jam, the Sarod Indian Classical.
A jam, but with distinct South Asian flavors.
Yep.
3 cups of cloudberries, 8 green cardamom pods, ground, half a cup of jaggery, unrefined cane sugar, lemon juice, 2 tablespoons of ghee, clarified butter, 1 tablespoon of rose water, grated ginger, ground cinnamon, and a pinch of saffron threads, 155 calories.
Technique. ALAP improvisation. Start slowly, builds complexity.
Seems like it. You start by blooming the freshly ground cardamom in the warm ghee. This releases its intense aroma, like the opening notes, alap of a raga. Then add the cloudberries, lemon juice, and jaggery. Jaggery provides a much more complex, almost caramelly sweetness compared to white sugar. Simmer until jammy.
And the finish.
Stir in the rose water. Ginger, cinnamon, and saffron toward the end preserve their fragrance. The saffron adds that beautiful golden color and mysterious aroma. Nutritionally, it's noted as high in essential oils from the spices and providing 12% DV of iron, likely from the jaggery.
Serving suggestions for the Sarod jam.
Spread it on warm naan bread or parathas. Or serve it alongside soft, fresh Indian cheeses like paneer, or even with creamy Western cheeses like ricotta or brie. Classical fusion.
Back to Europe, but with complexity. Recipe 15. Cloudberry port wine jelly, the piano. Keyboard complexity. Jelly uses just the juice, right?
Correct. Clear juice, no fruit pulp, 2 cups of strained cloudberry juice, 1 cup of vintage port wine, 4 tablespoons of liquid pectin for setting, 1/3 of a cup of brown sugar, 2 tablespoons of aged brandy, a sprig of fresh thyme, some cracked black peppercorns, and a bay leaf, 115 calories.
Technique. Concert technique. Sounds involved.
It requires managing multiple complex elements like playing piano. First step is crucial. Reduce the port wine by about half to concentrate its flavor and complexity. Then combine the reduced port with the strained cloudberry juice, sugar, brandy, and aromatics. Thyme, peppercorns, bay leaf in a little bundle perhaps. Bring to a boil. Add the liquid pectin and boil hard for exactly 1 minute to achieve the right set. Strain out the aromatics.
The goal is a clear, jewel-like jelly.
Exactly. A balance between the bright treble notes of the cloudberry and the deep bass notes of the port and brandy. Nutritionally, it contains resveratrol from the port wine grapes and is noted as high in overall antioxidants.
How to serve this complex piano jelly?
It's perfect with strong cheeses, especially aged blue cheese like Stilton or Roquefort, or use it as a sophisticated glaze for roasted meats like lamb or venison.
Now for Renaissance brightness, recipe 16. Cloudberry orange marmalade. The cittern, Renaissance brightness. Marmalade means citrus peel, right?
Yes, typically orange. 2 cups of cloudberries. 4 blood oranges using both the peel and the segmented fruit. Half a cup of raw sugar. 2 tablespoons of honey mead. 1 tablespoon of chopped fresh rosemary. Vanilla bean paste and ground cardamom. 145 calories.
Technique. Courtly dance method. Precise steps needed.
Very precise, especially with the orange peel. You need to julienne the peel finely and accurately. Then, crucially, blanch the peel 3 times in boiling water, changing the water each time. This removes the bitterness. Then combine and cook. Combine the blanched peel, the segmented blood orange flesh, removing membranes, cloudberries, sugar, honey mead, for that historical Renaissance touch, rosemary, vanilla, and cardamom. Cook until it reaches the setting point for marmalade. Nutritional highlight, another big vitamin C hit, 139% DV, thanks to the blood oranges, and it contains limon from the citrus zest.
Serving the cittern marmalade.
Spread it on traditional breads like manchette bread if you can find it, or just good quality toast or scones. It would also make a lovely glaze for roasted chicken or duck.
Heading to the Greek islands now, recipe 17. Cloudberry mustard mustarda, the bouzouki, Greek island spirit. Mustarda again, but Greek style.
Yeah, this one has a definite Greek twist. 2½ cups of cloudberries, kept in large pieces, half a cup of Dijon mustard, 1/3 cup of white wine vinegar, 1/4 cup of honey, 2 tablespoons of ouzo, the anise-flavored Greek spirit, 2 tablespoons of yellow mustard seeds, dried oregano, ground coriander, and aniseed. 185 calories.
Technique. Rebetiko rhythm needs energy.
It suggests keeping the cloudberry pieces large for textural interest, not letting them break down completely. Toasting the yellow mustard seeds first until they pop adds that energetic burst like enthusiastic dancers. And the ouzo brings that unmistakable Greek anise complexity.
Nutritional profile?
High in sodium again, 43 TV, common with mustard-based condiments. And it contains allyl isothiocyanate, the compound giving mustard its pungent kick.
How to serve this lively bouzouki mustarda?
Fantastic, with grilled lamb chops or souvlaki, or pair it with salty Greek cheeses like feta or halloumi, a fusion that definitely has spirit.
Deeper flavors now from the Middle East. Recipe 18. Cloudberry walnut preserves, the ode, Middle Eastern depth.
Rich and complex. 2 cups of chunk cloudberries, 1 cup of toasted walnuts, half a cup of date syrup, 3 tablespoons of pomegranate molasses, 2 tablespoons of orange blossom water, and classic Middle Eastern spices, cinnamon, cardamom, cloves, nutmeg, 175 calories.
A technique. Macam improvisation, building layers of flavor.
Exactly. Toasting the walnuts first is key for that deep, earthy flavor base. Date syrup provides a natural, ancient sweetness. Pomegranate molasses adds that crucial tartness and depth of color. Orange blossom water brings the floral, aromatic top notes. It's about layering these complex flavors.
Nutritional standout.
This is highlighted as an anchor recipe for healthy fats. The walnuts provide a significant 2.5 grams of omega-3 ALA per serving. Very good for heart and brain health. Also high in vitamin E.
Serving the out preserves.
Excellent with aged goat cheese or sheep's milk cheeses, or spread generously on lavish bread or pita.
Next, the Sitar Drone Foundation brings us recipe 19. Cloudberry balsamic reduction, a thick, intense sauce.
Very intense. 3 cups of concentrated cloudberry juice reduced down significantly first. Half a cup of aged balsamic vinegar, good quality. Raw honey. A splash of red wine vinegar for extra acidity. 1 tablespoon of fresh curry leaves. 2 teaspoons of ground fenugreek, turmeric, and a pinch of asafoetida. 105 calories.
Technique. Tempura method. Creating a base flavor.
It's like the drone of a tempura in Indian music. This creates a deep foundational flavor. Reduce the cloudberry juice until very thick. The aged balsamic provides that complex, syrupy acidity. Then infuse it with the South Indian flavors. Fresh curry leaves, fried briefly perhaps, fenugreek, turmeric, and the pungent asafoetida. Balance the sweet, sour, and spice.
Nutritional notes.
Very high in antioxidants from the concentrated berries and balsamic. Also contains acetic acid from the vinegars.
How to use this attar reduction?
Drizzle it over grilled or roasted vegetables, especially root vegetables or eggplant. Or use as a finishing sauce for lentil dishes like dal, a real bridge between continents.
We're nearing the end. Recipe 20. Cloudberry elderflower shrub, the dulcimer mountain stream. A drinking vinegar.
Yep, a shrub is an old-fashioned way to preserve fruit and vinegar and sugar, diluted to make a drink. 2½ cups of muddled cloudberries, 1 cup of strong brewed elderflower tea, cooled, ½ cup of apple cider vinegar with mother, 1/3 cup of wildflower honey,
Lime juice.
sliced ginger, cardamom pods, cinnamon stick, allspice berries, 85 calories.
Technique, mountain music method. Gentle and natural.
Gentle handling. Muddle the berries lightly, don't obliterate them. Using ACV with the mother introduces beneficial bacteria for a slight fermentation or probiotic quality. Combine everything muddled berries, elderflower tea, ACV, honey, lime, spices in a jar. Seal it and let it macerate in the refrigerator for at least 48 hours, shaking occasionally for the flavors to infuse. Then strain.
Nutritional benefits.
Another good vitamin C source, 98% DV, contains probiotics from the ACV mother, and noted as high in quercetin.
How do you drink the dulcimer shrub?
Mix a tablespoon or two with sparkling water for a refreshing, complex tart-sweet drink. Or use it as the acidic component in cocktails, adding a unique floral and fruity dimension. Honors that mountain music heritage.
Recipe 21. Cloudberry honey syrup, the sultry medieval reverence. A rich syrup.
Very rich, with historical echoes. 3½ cups of ultra-concentrated cloudberry juice, seriously reduced. 3/4 cup of monastery honey, like buckwheat or other dark, flavorful honey. 1/4 cup of mead, honey wine, lemon juice, vanilla extract, a sprig of rosemary, cardamom pods, and a few saffron threads for that medieval touch. 135 calories.
Technique, sacred music process. Slow and devoted.
Requires patience, like monastic devotion. Reduce the juice until incredibly thick and syrupy. Gently heat this with the monastery honey, evoking tradition. Mead, adding fermented complexity. Lemon, vanilla, and the aromatics, rosemary, cardamom, saffron. Let it infuse, then strain.
Nutritional notes.
Contains natural enzymes, potentially from the raw honey, if not heated too high in antioxidants.
Serving the sultry syrup.
Drizzle it over rich desserts like bread pudding, rice pudding, or even waffles. Or use it to sweeten and flavor mead-based cocktails, connecting directly back to that medieval reverence.
Second to last, recipe 22. Cloudberry champagne vinegar, the auto harp, American innovation. Making vinegar from cloudberries?
Yes, a fruit vinegar. 4 cups of crushed and already slightly fermented cloudberries, perhaps leftover pulp from making juice. 1 cup of champagne. 1/4 cup of raw champagne vinegar starter containing the mother of vinegar. Wildflower honey. Fresh lemon thyme, sliced shallots, white peppercorns, and fresh tarragon. Very low calorie, 65.
Technique, cord button method. Needs careful orchestration.
It starts with an alcoholic fermentation of the crushed berries, maybe adding a little sugar and yeast if needed, or using the natural yeast. Then you add champagne for elegance and acidity, and the raw champagne vinegar starter culture. Add the aromatics, thyme, shallots, peppercorns, tarragon. Then it needs to age in a vessel with air access covered with cloth for a long time, 14 to 18 weeks, for the acetic acid bacteria to convert the alcohol to vinegar.
A long process.
Definitely requires patience and a controlled environment. The result is a delicate fruit vinegar, around 5% acetic acid, and containing probiotics from the mother culture.
How to use the auto harp vinegar.
Perfect for light vinaigrettes, for delicate salads. Or use a splash to finish light soups or deglaze a pan after cooking chicken or fish. American ingenuity meets classic techniques.
And finally, the most futuristic sound, recipe 23. Cloudberry vanilla bean syrup, the theremin electronic mystery, another syrup, but different.
Very different vibe. 3½ cups of ultra-concentrated cloudberry juice again, 3/4 cup of organic sugar, 3 whole vanilla beans, split and scraped, 1/4 cup of heavy cream, 2 tablespoons of butter, vanilla extract, flaky sea salt, ground cardamom and nutmeg, and for the mystery, edible silver dust, 155 calories.
Technique, electronic wave method, precise and ethereal.
Extreme precision. Reduce the juice meticulously. Scrape those vanilla beans with exactness to get all the seeds. Combine juice, sugar, vanilla seeds, and pods, spices. Simmer to dissolve sugar. Then the key step. Finish it off the heat by whisking in the cold, heavy cream and butter. This creates an emulsion, a sudden richness that seems to materialize out of nowhere, like the sound of a theremin. Stir in extra vanilla extract, salt, and the silver dust for a visual effect.
Nutritional note.
High vanillin content from the generous amount of vanilla beans.
How to serve this mysterious theremin syrup.
Drizzle it over molecular gastronomy-style desserts, foams, spheres, etc. Or use it in highly creative, futuristic cocktails where its shimmer and rich flavor can be showcased. Bridges tradition and the avant-garde. And exhale, that's the entire 23-part Cloudberry String Ensemble Preserve Collection, an absolutely incredible journey through flavor and technique.
Truly exhaustive. So let's move to section 5, the synthesis. Key nutritional highlights. What are the big takeaways for you, the listener, after all that?
Well, number one has to be the vitamin C.
Without a doubt, the cloudberry is a vitamin C superstar. We saw it again and again, recipes hitting 100%, 161%, even 200% of the daily value. It's just packed with it.
And that connects to the antioxidants too. Ellagic acid kept coming up.
Yes, that's the antioxidant champion in this story. That phenolic compound isn't just good for us. It helps the berry preserve itself naturally, stabilizing color and structure. And overall, the berries and many of these preparations deliver compounds with natural anti-inflammatory properties. We also saw unique things like benzoic acid in the fruit leather.
What about macronutrients and other special compounds?
Fiber richness was another consistent theme. Many recipes provided over 21% of the daily fiber needs, which is great for digestion and blood sugar management.
And healthy fats made an appearance.
Specifically in the cloudberry walnut preserves, recipe 18. That delivered 2.5 grams of plant-based omega-3 ALA per serving, which is fantastic for supporting heart and brain health.
Plus, the fermented options brought something extra.
Exactly. The dill ferment, #8, the elderflower shrub, #20, and the champagne vinegar, #22, all offer probiotic benefits, adding those helpful bacteria for gut health. And we saw good mineral content too, especially manganese in the oat paste, #11.
So we've journeyed from this tough, dioecious plant surviving in Arctic bogs. We navigated the history of Norwegian harvesting laws, and we meticulously worked through a 23-part musical culinary composition spanning ancient Nordic traditions to really complex global fusion techniques.
It's quite the arc, from the chemistry of survival to the artistry of the kitchen.
Listeners, you now have the keys, not just to understanding what a cloudberry is, but to 23 incredibly distinct ways to prepare it, each designed to maximize specific flavor notes, textures, and even health benefits. It's less a recipe list, more a culinary score worthy of study.
It really connects the dots.
Yeah.
We see how the berry's resilience allows it to thrive in harsh conditions, but also how its rarity and value necessitate careful management, whether through cultivation research, developing specific cultivars like NIB, or historical legal interventions like that unripe berry ban.
Which brings us to our final thought, our provocation for you. We've seen the allure of this rare, wild berry. We've explored ways to capture its essence, ways that are now traveling globally. But given its primary reliance on wild harvesting, its specific habitat needs, and its cultural significance.
Here's the question. As consumers become more interested in unique, wild-harvested delicacies like the cloudberry, and as efforts to cultivate it potentially move it further from its natural home, what responsibility do we have?
What responsibility do you, the listener, have to think about preserving not just the fruit itself or its recipes or even its genetic diversity through cultivars, but also the traditional, often indigenous harvesting practices and the incredibly fragile wild ecosystems, the bogs, the moorlands, where this entire complex string ensemble of flavor actually originates and thrives?
Something to mull over, maybe while you're trying out that cello compote or perhaps even the experimental theremin syrup.
A deep thought for deep dive. That's all the time we have for today. Thanks for joining us.
See you next time.